Hello, everybody. We would like to welcome you to um, the producer broadcast, producer show. We are so excited today. We have a awesome brother. Uh, his name is Dr. Charles Holly. He's going to come and share with us because today's topic is going to talk about the obstacles that African Americans face trying to get our books published and stuff like that. If you think about this, what we're going through right now uh, with everybody with the COVID. So a lot of times that people have a lot of extra time on their hands and they can actually be writing their books, tuning their books. But then when they get done with that process, they don't know what to do, or they get obstacles that in the way to keep them from getting them published. So today we're going to bring a brother on that has a lot of books published, and we just want him to share with us about some of the challenges, the solutions, and all these things that to help us to prepare and be better at what we do. So none other than Dr. Holly, you're on with us now. So we're gonna kind of turn this thing over to you. We want you in your own words to tell the people a little bit about you, uh, what your focus is, the direction that you're trying to go, what you're trying to accomplish in life. I could look at all the accolades that you have, but I think people would rather hear a little bit from you instead of just hearing it from me. What?
Thank you so much, Dr. Bruce. It is such an honor to be on this show tonight. Um,
Mhm.
for the audience, there's really not a whole lot to tell. I'm just a country boy, born and raised in northern Alabama, the youngest of 17 children, raised by sharecroppers in the civil rights movement, uh, integrated in an all-white school in the 1970s. And I started writing, Dr. Bruce, because of a tragedy that came in my life.
Right.
Uh, I had a 13-year-old son. He was a wonderful young man, no serious illnesses at all. He was playing basketball one day at his middle school, running down the basketball court,
Hmm.
and he suddenly collapsed, fell to the
Wow.
floor, and minutes later, he was pronounced dead.
Mm.
We found out later on that he had a very rare heart condition that no
Right.
one knew anything about. So I went through depression. My wife went through depression. We had a younger daughter at that time, 8 years old. She went through it as well. Some very dark hours. And writing became my way out because I could not express accurately what I was going through,
Right.
but I could put it down on paper.
Right.
And when I wrote my first book about the death of my son, the title of the book was When Flowers Fade. And to my surprise, when I sent it to the publisher chose it as one of the best of the books that they had ever received in their publishing company. And
Right.
so from then on, I just kept writing because I
Hmm.
found my passion. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about tonight. I really want to share 6 keys, and I do want to talk
Hmm.
about some problems and issues that we
Right.
have as African Americans. All authors have problems in publishing, but Black authors in particular have
Right.
certain issues, and we would definitely want to talk about those tonight.
Hmm. Yeah. I've wanted to sometimes, think about writing books, but don't know where to start, don't know how to go about it, don't know how to get things laid out. So we may end up having to turn this into a two-part. I don't know, but just lay everything out for us tonight. I'm gonna let you do most of the talking because uh, you know, you the expert, and I'm not me. So what we want you to do is just kind of just break it down to us, the obstacles and everything that we face, because you know a lot of times as African Americans, you're going to face a lot of obstacles along the way. But if we get connected with the right people, a lot of times we can break down those walls, break down those barriers that prevent us from achieving what we uh, need to achieve, going in the direction we need to go. Because a lot of times we have um, a goal, we have a vision, but we don't know how to put it together. And sometimes we're not willing to connect with people to help us to get where we need to be. So,
Yes, absolutely, Doc. So let's start with the obstacle and with the number one and most glaring obstacle that there is. And that obstacle is a lack of diversity in the publishing industry among the people who are what we call power players, right?
mhm.
So these are the people who have the money. They decide who the authors get contracts. They decide
Right.
how much resources these authors get, how they're going to market them, where they go, and so forth. Well, 80% today of the publishing power players are white.
Mhm. Wow.
Now, that means that we as African Americans are going to have to market our writing, our manuscripts, in a way that is attractive to them. And let's just face it, most African Americans are going to write about real experiences
Right.
of social justice, racism, so forth and so forth. And these
Right.
topics can tend to make some white people uncomfortable, or
Right.
at least they can think that these topics may not be profitable for them, because really it's all about profit, right? You have to make money. So
Right.
sadly, a lot of big time publishers do not believe that the certain subjects that we are passionate about as Black people and
Right.
care about and often
Mhm.
want to talk about and share just are not
Mhm.
profitable for them. So
Right.
we must find ways then to write our subject matter so that
Mhm.
it does interest people other than people that are in our race. Now, we know that today,
Mhm.
50% of the Black people are in America today. So we're only 15% of the entire population today. And
Right.
of that 15%,
Mhm.
65%, according to a well-known survey,
Mhm.
65% of Black people are readers. In other words, 65% a, a book within the past year. Now, that's according to a
Right.
2019 study. So if we're only 15% and only 65% of us are actually avid readers,
Mhm.
then what that means is if I'm writing about a Black topic that only
Mhm.
interests Black people, that I've got a lot smaller audience in order to
Right.
market it
Right.
to,
Mhm.
you see. So we as Black people must become more diverse in what
Mhm.
we want to talk about, because we have to talk about subjects that interest other races. And of course,
Exactly.
our white counterpart is 76% of them are
Mhm.
readers. So, we must find ways of writing our subjects so that they do interest white people and other
Mhm.
minorities.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah. I've always heard that we didn't read as much as we should. I know growing up for me, it was a struggle. Uh, Reading, I didn't like reading in public. Didn't like reading in speech class. Did not like doing speeches. Uh, but I had to learn to be willing to step out of myself and to realize that it was just what I needed to do to get further, to get where I wanted to go. I had to realize that this is something I had to do, And so but it took years. I was out of high school, uh, and when I started to take college classes, when I was in the military, that's when I really learned to read. I not learned to read, but started reading a lot. So for us, a lot of times it takes something, an event, or just a desire. Like me, it was the desire to go to college to better myself, especially when I could get education free in the military. Um, it took that to get me to spark me to move forward. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, Doc. When I was growing up, there were two things that really kept me from reading. Um, Number one, my parents,
Hmm.
because we were always in the field doing something, picking cotton,
Right.
chopping cotton, doing whatever. And because of the way they grew up,
Hmm.
they thought that we would all be farmers, and so they did not
Right.
put a whole lot of stock in reading. Okay,
Right.
so but the second thing was I had a terrible speech problem, and I hated reading,
Hmm.
especially in front of people. I had a terrible stuttering problem.
Hmm.
And but now today, I am the speaking champion of Toastmasters International Division. So you figure,
Right.
God. But I actually fell in love with reading though
Hmm.
after I started writing because I wanted to know other people's stories as well.
Right.
So let's dig into these 6 points I want to share tonight. Point we're going to need in order to be successful writers:
Hmm.
a passion for writing, a passion. We have to have that, Doc. We have to have a passion for writing. I mentioned how I got started writing and how it became my passion. Tragedy brought me into it.
Right.
So one has to have a real passion to communicate, to write. What problem or situation do you want to address? That's what your writing has to. Your writing has to solve a problem. It has to address a issue. Okay.
Hmm.
You have to also know what audience do you want to speak to. You have to
Right.
know who you're talking to. All right. And then what are the challenges that Black authors have in this category? It is converting our passion into public material.
Right.
Now, oftentimes, Doc, we as Black people, we are animated. We speak with
Hmm.
passion. We speak with our hearts. We speak with our souls. And sometimes that can come across as being the angry Black man, when we're really
Exactly.
not angry,
Right.
we're just passionate
Right.
about what we're talking about.
Exactly.
But
Hmm.
people in other races may not understand that. And
Right.
so we must learn how to control even our passion, you know,
Hmm.
and know what our passion is for writing. I have to have a reason for writing. There has to be something that I'm trying to accomplish every
Right.
single day in and day out. And so I
Right.
have my things that I always write for, and that is to glorify God, to educate people, and to inspire people. Those are every time I write something, those are always my three goals:
Right.
to glorify
Hmm.
God, educate people, and to inspire.
Hmm.
So, out there, audience, what is your passion? What is your passion? You know,
When I think about passion, it's just like my passion. It wouldn't is really not the books. My passion is media. I love doing this type stuff. Never thought I would ever be willing to get in front of people, especially like the internet, and speak out to where everybody, really anywhere in the country, as long as they could get internet, they could uh, see you, or like when I do a podcast, or could hear you. Never thought I would do that because this was one thing I was shy to do. but it's now it's like something I thrive on. It's like when I don't get an opportunity to do something like this, it's like it makes you feel like I'm missing something sometimes. So everybody
Mhm.
has a passion for something, but I really do want to. Someday I would love to be able to write a book. So I'm gonna be getting with you even after we get beyond these broadcasts to help
Right.
me to get to a point to where I understand how to try to even put a book together so I can do because someday I would love to tell my story and
Mhm.
if I'm going to do it, I want to be able to do it in the right way. So um, maybe you could share a little bit of that. How what direction we need to look at first? What are some of the first things we need to do when we think about or get a desire or vision to do a book?
Right. Well, you have to know how to write, and that's a real big one. And I think that that's actually one of my points I'm going to share with you.
Hmm.
Writing is an art. It's
Right.
not like speaking. Some of us are very good at verbally speaking, but writing, you have different
Hmm.
rules,
Right.
regulations, and writing is actually a whole lot more difficult than
Hmm.
speaking.
Right.
So one has to learn it. So I took a very good online writing class that helped me a lot, you
Hmm.
know. And so one has to have the connections or the finances to do so. Now, you can always get someone else to write your book for you. Now, there's
Right.
also people that are called ghost writers and so forth,
Hmm.
but that costs money too,
Right.
and nobody can tell your story like you can tell your story. So
Hmm.
I found it worthwhile to do all the learning that I could about writing so that I can get a chance to tell my own story. So the first thing is you got to
Hmm.
know how to write because writing is an art. You just
Right.
can't sit down and take a pen and start writing down a bunch of stuff. It's not going to work because
Right.
it all depends on who your audience is, what you're writing about. There are
Right.
lots of things that go into formulating a compelling storyline. Right?
Right.
But key number two is this though. You have to have a passion for reading. You have to have a passion for reading. Why? Because reading builds our vocabulary.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Definitely.
reading expands our knowledge and it sharpens our expertise for
Right.
the things that we want to talk about.
Hmm.
Reading exposes you and I, Dr. Smith, to the professional format of
Hmm.
books that books should have.
Right.
Uh, so some of the challenges for us then as blacks is to increase our reading level, increase
Right.
our
Right.
reading level. We have to start reading more. Just like I mentioned, 65% of us are known as avid readers. In other words, we read at least one book
Right.
during the past year. And that's just not enough for us to become great writers. Okay, just about every great writer, successful writer, is also a very avid reader. So, my question: how often do you read? So, audience,
Hmm.
think about this. How often do you read? Because we're going to write the way we read, or either we're going to
Hmm.
write the way we talk. And we
Right.
don't want to write the way we talk because
Yeah.
that's not going to work. We
Definitely.
want to write the way we read. So that's
Right.
why we need to read very, very good
Hmm.
books, especially
Right.
people who have written books about subjects that we are passionate about.
Right. Yeah. It wouldn't do me no good to try to write certain things in the book, but the things that like you say, the things that you're passionate about, that's what you need to write about. Like what
Mhm.
I'm doing here, this is where if I was to write a book, it would be along these lines on how to go about achieving these goals, even though when you scared to death when you first start out. Uh, but I find that uh, as you go through life, you learn some things. Like I say, I wasn't one that wanted to read. I wasn't even when I got called to preach. It's like uh, you know, but reading the Bible was different than just reading a book because it was
Mhm.
something I knew I had to do, and it was something that I learned to enjoy. And I learned through reading the Bible. I learned how I was supposed to conduct myself much better. But
Mhm.
when I think about the process of writing a book and just reading uh, different books, if it's not along a certain line, a certain area, it don't charge me up like this type of stuff.
Mhm.
So yeah, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, Doc. But you know what? Everybody is not cut out to author a book, but everybody
Right.
is cut out to communicate.
Hmm.
And sometimes we are better off communicating our story in different ways as opposed to
Hmm.
writing a book. It doesn't always have to be writing a book. You know, you have the freedom right now to communicate your story.
Right.
You know, ever how many times you want to a huge audience. People don't have to
Hmm.
go and buy a book, sit down and read. You can tell your story in 17 different ways and 17 different nights. I mean, there are some advantages
Hmm.
to communicating your story verbally too, as
Right.
well. So, you know, definitely.
If a person wanted to write a book, okay, and
Mhm.
they just didn't know uh, what to do or who to contact. Could they contact you? Are you open to maybe mentoring somebody or giving somebody a one-on-one direction and guide? Have you thought of creating a guide for or people that would like to do books or write books? Uh, because I'll tell you about
Yeah.
me, I would need a guide to guide me through the process because it's not as easy as it sounds. You think about it, I could write a book, but when I thought about it, really seriously thought about it, I realized that, man, this is not something. It ain't like doing this. This came almost naturally to me, but that
Yes.
book thing, it just wasn't so natural.
Yes, absolutely, Doc. I do it all the time. People can definitely contact me. You can go to my website at speakerholly.com. That's
Hmm.
speaker,
Hmm.
HOLLEY.com. And there is a contact form on there. Just contact me. I can send you some material on how to
Hmm.
get started. I can talk with you, give you some thoughts, opinions.
Hmm.
So I had a person today, Doc, to send me a book that they
Right.
wrote, and they wanted me to look it over. And once I looked it over, I
Hmm.
told that person the truth. I told them the
Right.
good. I told them the bad. And
Hmm.
so that is what I do. So
Right.
speakerholly.com, contact me. I don't mind speaking with you about it.
So, do you have a website that people can go to kind of read up on you and get other information and stuff?
Yes, go to speakerholly.com. Speaker Holly, that's HOLLEY is how you spell Holly. So it's speakerholly.com. That's my website. Go
Hmm.
there. You can see my books, videos. You can contact me. You can purchase some books, while you're actually on there. So everybody is welcome. That's again at speakerholly.com. Now
Hmm.
let me share this one last point with you. You have to have a passion for speaking. If you're going
Right.
to be a really really good author, You have to have a passion for speaking. Well, why?
Right.
Because you are going to be the best seller of your book. You're going to
Exactly.
have to tell people what's in your
Hmm.
book, what your book is all about. And you're going to have to be able to pique their curiosity and their interest
Exactly.
in order
Mm.
for them to purchase the book. So you're going to have to do speaker promos. You're going to have to do get on talk shows, TVs, podcasts, shows just like yours, Dr. Smith. Uh, you're going to have to talk. Okay. And that was the most difficult part for me, like I said, because of my stuttering issue. I was terrified, you
Right.
know. But when I learned that stuttering wasn't a problem with the mouth, it was a problem with the mind.
Okay.
So I had to get past all of the issues in my mind that
Right.
made me felt small, unworthy,
Right. Hmm.
not good enough, you know. And
Yeah.
then when I started thinking back, just my upbringing, you know, just the sheer
Hmm.
poverty, racism, and everything I went through, that kept sending signals to my mind telling me you will never amount to anything. You're not good enough.
Right.
And so that was where all of my stuttering came from. And that's a problem with a lot of people in the Black community, is that
Hmm.
our trauma, our racial trauma has affected
Right.
us in lots of ways. In so much that sometimes we can struggle to communicate our real
Hmm.
thoughts, our real feelings. So that's something else that we're going to have to work to really get past, you know. So
Yeah. I was a.
quickly though.
I found out and I realized that I was just afraid um, to speak in front of people because I might not pronounce a word right. I
Hmm.
might get to because I would get around people and I get to stuttering and
Hmm.
I get around people and I just like I lose my train of thought in
Hmm.
speech class. This how bad I had it in speech class. I never done a speech. I'll be I'll be honest. I had signed up for the military and they told the Air Force that I was graduating. So so that speech class,
Uh-huh.
uh, I wouldn't have passed it because I was afraid to do speech. Uh, I would not have passed the class had that Air Force they had not told the Air Force I was going to graduate. So it was one of those things to where
Hmm.
I I say I got a pass on that one, but it helped
Uh-huh.
me over the years looking back on that, facing your what I call my demons,
Yes.
and speaking was my in public was my weakness, and now is one of the
Hmm.
areas that I thrive in. I
Hmm.
enjoy doing it. I enjoy getting in front of people and speaking, and
Hmm.
I enjoy doing this type media. It's crazy that me doing this and doing podcasting and stuff like that. But this is what I like. This is what I enjoy. I can spend all my time doing this. But this is my passion,
Hmm.
and so with this,
Yes.
it's like a medicine to me. So when I look at it,
Yes.
uh, for those that want to write a book, that could be like their medicine. That could be like what heals them. That what gets them from point A to point B. So we have to look at that and find what where your passion is and go with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Doc. Absolutely. Um, the last two points I want to share tonight is that, so there are three major steps when it comes to
Hmm.
writing and publishing a book. You got to write it,
Right,
you publish it, and you market it.
right.
Write, publish, market. Okay.
Hmm.
Those last two ones cost money. To publish a book, you have to pay somebody something somewhere, because your book has to be formatted professionally.
Hmm.
Uh, the book cover, the
Right.
inside, All of that stuff has to be done professionally, and it costs money, and that can be a huge disadvantage for us
Hmm.
because we know that as blacks, most of us don't have as much money as our
Right.
counterpart. So just raising the money to get a
Crazy,
book
Kevin.
properly published, professionally published,
Wow.
can be
Yeah.
challenging. We're talking about $1,500. If you're
Right.
going to really do it right, it
Hmm.
costs money. You know,
Hmm.
and then the marketing part of it, which again has to be done right, because
Hmm.
you have to get the book into the hands of people who are interested in it. You have
Right.
to get yourself out there. You have to
Hmm.
market yourself, and people have to buy into you. People have to hear your story, know your
Hmm.
story,
Right.
learn why you're writing, and they have to feel some sense of connection to you, which means, going
Right.
back to speaking again, we're going to have to be able to speak and get out there and
Hmm.
tell people and draw people to us, and therefore
Right.
they would be interested in purchasing our books. So marketing also is very expensive, which is a problem for
Exactly.
most black people. And sometimes we end up doing it, and I'm just going to use this word, jackleg way. and
Yeah. 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 We
and
got that bad
and
sometimes.
so
Yeah.
we end up getting books that are not even formatted properly, and
Right.
we end up selling stuff that when people finally do open up, they look at it and they immediately realize you're just an amateur,
Right.
because everything's wrong here,
Yeah.
so we must not fall into the trap of just going that amateur way. We must focus on getting things done properly, and getting
Exactly.
things done professionally, even if that means getting somebody to buy into your book, your vision, getting somebody to invest in you and say, if you invest $1,000 in me now,
Hmm.
then once I sell something, I can give you back 1,500. So find some people who believe in you and who are willing to invest in you to get you
Right.
the real professional services that you need to get. And once you
Hmm.
get your book done, let it be professional, let it be done right. Get your
Hmm.
marketing done professionally, let it be done
Right.
right, and then people will take you seriously. Okay? There are no jackleg books on New York Times bestsellers.
Right.
None.
Yeah. I find a lot of times when people talk about doing the books, they try to always do it on a cheap. Even advertisement, they trying to do it on a cheap. What kind of deal can you swing me? How can we make a trade? Something like that. You know, they it makes you feel like sometimes they're really not serious. Or they just don't want, they want the result of the book, but they don't want the investment. So everything. And when I look at what I'm doing here, this wasn't cheap.
That's
There's an
right.
investment that you have to put in this to get clear video, and to be able to see everything that everybody's saying, the remarks and stuff, to know the people that like the people that's watching, like uh, the broadcast and stuff like that, and the different platforms that you broadcast it on, because we broadcast it on like 5 6 different platforms at once.
Wow.
I just, it ain't just a Facebook Live thing. So uh,
Mm-hmm.
it takes an investment to put out a good product, and so it means that you
Mm-hmm.
have to count the cost. Number one, if not willing to count the cost of doing this thing, you just step away from it. Whether it's doing a book or whatever it is, if you're not willing to step out, because you're investing in yourself. That's what I had to
Yes.
realize first. If you're not willing to invest in yourself, how can I go to somebody else and ask them to be an investor? So I have to invest in myself, make sure that I'm doing things the right way, and then I can go to the investor and say, "Hey, look, I need a little help. Would you be willing to help me?" Like you say, uh, give me $1,000, and when I get things going, I give you 1,500. So that's a
Mm,
good profit. And
yes.
if you present yourself in the right way, sometimes you can get people that's willing to do that. So yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The person that I told you about that sent me their book today, um, the person had a very, very good storyline. Very good
Hmm.
storyline. They were, raised poor, but yet without having their father, managed to make it really, really good in life.
Hmm.
But the person did a jackleg job as far as the book. It was just the book was just not attractive at all. It just was not professional.
Right.
And when I said that, basically, I didn't say it like that, but I said, listen, this book
Hmm.
needs some work. It needs
Right.
to be of professional quality because it has to
Hmm.
match the quality of your story. You have a great story. You are a great speaker. You can sell this book, and this
Right.
story can sell. But your material has to match the quality of your story because
Exactly.
you need some serious work done. And the person
Hmm.
said, "Well, I'm not willing to invest any more money in it."
Hmm.
I said, "Okay, well, all right. If that's the deal, then just whatever. But you're blowing a huge opportunity here.
Right.
You know,
Hey,
so
one of our listeners had a question, and what she asked was, "What is the average minimum cost to publish a book?"
okay, so that's going to vary depending on the size of the book, but I can give you some
Hmm.
idea about my books. The average page length of my books is usually about 140, 150 pages. My book
Hmm.
size is about 5 by 5 by 8 by 5.
Hmm.
And what it costs me when I do everything properly is anywhere between $1,800 to $2,500.
To publish it, correct?
To That's what, and yes, and that's for everything. That's to get the actual book cover done, to get the interior done, to get my writing edited. Very, very important. Get your writing edited. You cannot edit your own writing.
Exactly.
You have to
Right.
have somebody else to look over your writing
Hmm.
and get a professional editor, please. Please
Right.
don't get no jag leg editor. Get a
We don't want Pookie
professional
Dam to
editor
do
who knows what to look for.
it.
Because listen, because there are different things
Right.
that one can edit for. It's not
Hmm.
just words. You have to edit for things like word placement because it's very, very important
Exactly.
where
Hmm.
you place a word. If you place a word at the beginning of a sentence, in the middle, or the end, you have to have a
Right.
person to edit your stuff for length. I've seen some
Hmm.
people have paragraphs, a mile long when you can break them
Right.
down. I've seen people who use words that they should not use. So you have to be edited for word usage. You also have to be edited for word strength, because believe me,
Right.
there are certain words that you can use that are stronger than others. So a real professional editor will know what
Hmm.
to look for. And
Right.
no editor can edit for everything. So you have to pick something. Okay. And what I normally pick is I say, okay, edit me for strong language, make my
Hmm.
language strong, uh, edit me for word usage, make sure that I'm using my words properly, you know.
Hmm.
So that's why you really have to have someone who knows what they're doing, because you get what you pay for. My mama used to always say,
Exactly.
you
Hmm.
get what you pay for, okay, and you want quality, okay.
We had one of our listeners ask the question: "How do you get your book in a reputable store?"
That is a great question, and here's the answer to that. The key to that still lies with physical publishing companies. We call
Hmm.
them today the traditional publishing companies. Why?
Hmm.
Because they have avenues, direct avenues, that they
Right.
have already established into these stores. And so the best way to get your book into a store is to have a publishing company publish it for you. And
Right.
if your material is actually good enough, they may even pay you some money, okay, to
Right.
publish it for you. But they are usually the ones who can get books directly into bookstores. Now, it has started to
Hmm.
change somewhat because of some of these electronic online places now can also get books into bookstores, but that's not fully developed yet. Okay, it's kind of coming. Like I do my books through Amazon, and Amazon right now does not have a direct link into bookstores. But however, listen to this too, though. Not many books are being sold through bookstores, through physical bookstores anymore. Okay,
Really.
those right, those bookstores, many bookstores are actually slowing down or either closing down. Okay, so a lot of books are being purchased online or during speaker events. I have my best sales whenever I do speaker events. Okay,
Hmm.
so whenever I do events, I bring my books and I sell books there. That is my best option. I have actually had my books into stores,
Hmm.
and I will never do it again because it's too much of a headache, and I don't even make anything off of it.
Really. So,
Yes.
what about the electronic books? You know how you can go online and download. That's what I like to do. I could really, I hate to say it like this, but I could care less about the hard copy. I'm a tech person. I want it on my on my tablet, where I don't care where I'm at. I can get it on my phone. I can get it on my tablet. That's what works for me because when I got the time, I don't want to have to go look for a book. So
Absolutely.
if I got it's just something about being on being able to use it electronically, get it electronically, and you can change the color to make it look like a page, but it just to me, that's the best way for me to do it. Make me feel like I'm still into my tech
Absolutely.
world.
Absolutely. Yes. So you're talking about what we would call ebooks. It's ebooks.
Right, right,
So the
right.
E stands for electronic. And there
Hmm.
are several different ways that we can do that. So there are several different applications that will allow you to
Hmm.
create ebooks. So I use the same manuscript for my hard
Hmm.
copy and to create my ebooks, and they are very, very easy to actually do. And like you said, they are easy to sell online because there is no hard copy that you have to print and store somewhere, right? It's all
Right.
in electronic format. And you can just download them, and they are much, much cheaper. My hard copy books right now are $6.99. My e-copies are only $2.49. You see,
So I can get your books
so
online.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Go buy one right now.
Yeah.
Speakerholly.com. Go buy one right now. So lots of people are getting used to ebooks, but there's
Hmm.
still a whole lot of people out there today that would
Right.
prefer to hold that book in their hand because they like the hard copy.
Yeah.
But like you said, there is more flexibility in that ebook.
Right.
You can take it anywhere. You can
Right.
fire it up. You can do whatever. And so
Hmm.
those things are getting very, very, very popular today, and they are easy to do as well.
Hey, if you don't mind, tell us some of the titles of some of your books, what they're about, and stuff like that. Because we hate for you to be on here, not get you a good plug in.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me read the books. I brought them over here because I wanted to talk to you, kind of show them off and talk to you. This is my. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Okay,
So
what is
let
that
me
one
move my
about?
hands. Black and White, Healing Race. And this book is about my birth, my coming up, my growing up during the civil
Hmm.
rights movement in the South. Talks about my parents and what type of people they were, and talks about
Hmm.
racism and what we went through. It talks about the different ways that we can heal as Black and
Hmm.
white people, given everything that we have gone through. And so
Right.
the book talks about what white people can do and what Black people can do to
Right.
make our race situation today better. And I have to admit, this book is doing very, very well. I've actually spoken on several platforms about it. But that's my latest. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this book is the story of my life, so above the pain, and it talks about
Okay.
my yeah talks about my contested birth. Talks about me growing up poor and struggling, and you know, talking about me and my white friends, and so forth. So it's just really a story about my life. I have
Hmm.
several other books too. I have a business book out there that's called Seven Needs of High Performing Employees. So if you're a business leader out there, go on our website and get that. Seven Needs of High Performing Employees, and it talks about the seven things that leaders need to
Hmm.
make sure that their employees have in order for
Right.
them to perform their best. So I have another book that's called Forgiveness, and that's a real popular book. Lots of people buy that one and read that one. So
Hmm.
I have several. So go out there on speakerholly.com. It's
I'm gonna check it out
speakerholly.com.
tonight.
Yeah, that's right. You go out there and browse, buy one.
Ebook.
Ebook. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I have some
Ebook.
e-copies out there too.
Right. Well, Doc, I think we're gonna have to bring you back if you're willing to come back, because I think we only just scratched the surface, and I don't know whether you can come back on next Monday, but
Sure.
I think we'll try this again next Monday at 6 o'clock. And we thank you for coming. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all the listeners that listen to this broadcast. Uh, we just excited about what God is doing and what we have an opportunity to do for God. Because if we get people more in tune with things, so we can not only prosper physically, spiritually, economically, and get understanding in areas that we need help. Like one of our listeners said, that there's great information, and that's what we want to do, relay to our people. Our people need this type of information. We're going to have a lot of different topics and different speakers come on to help our people, because we need somebody that's not trying to do the political thing to help us to prosper, to move forward. So we thank you, Dr. Holly, and we will see you again on next Monday at 6 o'clock. But I want our listeners to know on Thursday, which is Thanksgiving, we're gonna do an early morning show before everybody gets started with their day. You know how it's out here. You can, if you don't listen to it, then you can always go back and listen to it. So we just excited about doing that and being able to provide this content. And we're gonna. One thing I've learned through LinkedIn and through Facebook and some of these other platforms, I've been able to connect with a lot of people from a lot of places to be able to try to put some different shows together that interest people. Uh, Hello, Vic Sanders. Glad you tuned in. Thank you for watching the show. Tell somebody about it, and that we'll be on later on. We're going to be putting more information out for our listeners to be part of this show. And if you would like to be part of it one day, uh, uh, check us out. My email address is dr.b.s producer at bvs-enterprises.com. and we'll check you out and we'll have a discussion if you like to come on. We've had some pastors come on our podcast and other people come on our podcast. I think Dr. Holly's been on one of our podcasts that we produce with Dr. Adams. So if you are interested, we can get this thing rolling and get some more people involved in it. And that's my thing is we need to do us and get a word out to people. So take care, Dr. Holly. We'll be in touch and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you, Dr. Bruce. We'll see you on next Monday.
All right.